Universal Discourse. Universal Discourse. Pull up a chair, tug on your hair, and sit and listen in your cheesy underwear. Hello, this is Benjamin Cleve Ganong on Universal Discourse, live from Fredericton, New Brunswick. Not really live, that's a lie. I am practicing radical honesty. We have on the show today for you Jesse, Marie, Daryl, Roxy, Ford Underhill.
That's me.
And he's going to be discussing his tale of glory, woe, love, and sheepishness with us this evening.
Sheepishness?
He has been, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but...
Okay.
Didn't you have a relationship with a sheep at one time?
No.
Okay. Whoa. Man. Sorry, that's my delusional tendencies coming out. So we have wasted much of Jesse's time tonight. He has been incredibly patient with me and my colleagues here at Universal Discourse. Isn't that right, Daryl?
Yeah, man, we've been really working on the technical aspects tonight, but we've been having a difficult time, needless to say.
Daryl, stop smoking.
All right.
Daryl, just leave, dude. Okay, anyway, back to the show. Jesse Underhill and I have been really close friends for the last few years. Friends with... Never mind. That would have been funny. Probably too inappropriate.
Friends with benefits?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
we have
there
been.
certainly are benefits.
There is.
No sexual benefits, unfortunately.
But, oh, God. Yeah, I guess...
Just joking.
You're so open-minded. That's like 3 ums so far. Get out the ums. There you go. That is a good Okay, so I asked Jesse to come on the podcast tonight because I feel like he has a lot of wisdom to tell. Jesse, how did we meet, man?
I recall, if my memory serves me correctly, we passed by each other a few times at Moksha.
Yes.
Now Moto. And we never really chatted, maybe small talk. And then once the Moksha fam was going to go do Mud, Sweat, and Tears, we all met up. And I remember not knowing who I was going to get a drive with. And I remember seeing you and this lady, who was Heidi, who I came to know. And I knew Oliver. I kind of had met Oliver once or twice, small talk as well. And he also seemed like a cool dude. And I think I kind of just came up to you and Heidi and kind of casually said, oh, can I just come with you guys? And you guys were like, sure. And Oliver did the same. So all 4 of us hopped in the car and drove to wherever the hell we went, wherever Mud, Sweat, and Tears was, and been friends ever since.
Mud, Sweat, and Tears was a obstacle course race. There was mud, sweat, and tears involved. Halfway through the obstacle course race on Macadavic Lake, just outside Fredericton, there was a counselor for each individual racer. And so that's where the tears came in. We just unloaded all of our fears, our insecurities. And that's not true.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Radical honesty, folks. Radical honesty. But I think that, well, Jesse and I didn't hit it off right at the beginning. He went off on his own, and I was trying to impress a girl and stay with her the whole time. But I was always impressed with Jesse's drive after that. Him and Oliver destroyed that Mud, Sweat, and Tears race.
Yeah, we did.
And so after that, I think that we just started talking in the dressing rooms of Moksha Yoga.
Pretty much, I would say, yeah. I think the next day I was walking to Moksha and I met you and Heidi walking outside, actually. And I kind of said, hey guys, what's going on? Small talk. And yeah, I think every time I seen you after that, we kind of just talked, became friends. And I don't really remember the first time we actually hung out, but I'm sure it was glorious.
It was. That's a good word, man. Glorious.
You like that word, don't you? Yeah.
I revel in the glory of gloriousness.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. So I always found Jesse had like this calmness about him and this understanding, and I just felt really comfortable around him, and I could just talk to him about anything, and we both had common interests in yoga and spirituality and meditation and exercise. So we really bonded over how passionate we were about yoga and the gym. And both of us were single at the time, and I was probably maybe a year sober, maybe less. I think when I first met him I was I wasn't even half a year sober, or just half a year sober. And Jesse was a real good influence on me just because he didn't drink excessively or smoke or anything like that, and he always respected my sobriety. And so we just connected on that level. And then it was really nice just having someone to talk about meditation and just chill out with when the center of our social interactions didn't have to be alcohol. And that was, so Jesse was probably the first real good friend that I made in sobriety.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Like, I felt the same way towards you too, man. Like, I feel like we were both just kind of clicked on a certain level and felt really comfortable around you, and we kind of could go deep, like, super soon in our friendship. I felt like have real honest conversations and shit. And that's kind of when you know you have a good friend or someone. I don't know. It was just really nice, just to be honest, and I could always felt like I could kind of always be myself completely. Yeah. Sometimes you have friends who you know forever, and you always kind of keep a little wall up sometimes, or I don't know.
I feel that.
You can't always. You should always aim and try to be like your full self, or like, you know what I mean. But it's not always easy, and I kind of felt I could do that like pretty quick with you, and I think that says something about your character for sure.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah.
I really liked that carpeted room in your apartment with the banners.
The little meditation room.
Yeah. And you'd lay in your hammock, or I'd lay in your hammock, and then one of us would be just on the yoga mat, and we'd just like listen to those
guided meditations. Yeah, man. Did a lot of meditations in that room and kind of gave it a certain vibe or feeling. You know what I mean?
It smelled like incense or something too. Yeah. I think you had incense going in there.
Oh, for sure.
I love that. And I liked the meditation that you did where they got us to focus on some sort of blue or white light coming out of our...
Yeah, that's Corey Allen meditation. Yeah. It's like all crazy like visuals and like a blue light, blue diamonds in your heart, and you're like blowing smoke out and a bunch of crazy stuff. Yeah, big golden wings, and it was pretty cool.
It sounds kind of out there to some people, but it's so nice to have that kind of thing to focus on, and then to kind of be willing to give yourself over to the possibility that you can get there, or you can, and then once you get past your ego and get willing to give it a try, it's pretty amazing, actually. At least I found it amazing.
Yeah.
And then we had tons of trips to Sobeys to get food.
Oh, we did.
We'd never like get a big, at least for me, I never get a big load of groceries.
Yeah.
I'll get like 3 things, and then I'll realize at night, wow, I better make another trip.
Yeah. A lot of Cliff Bars for me.
So much walking between the yoga studio and the gym and the house.
There was, which was nice.
I love that.
And had its pros and cons, I guess.
Yeah. But. So Jesse grew up in Blackville.
I did, yes.
And I have a couple theories. It's interesting. Me and Jesse have had some practice time over this discussion. But I had some theories as to why it was called Blackville, but I guess I would just...
I have no idea.
No.
Why is it called Fredericton?
Because Fred and Eric wanted to make a town, and then they're like, well, we better take out the W. Fred Ericton. And then boom.
Well, Black and Ville wanted to make a fucking town, too.
Yeah.
So
I always made this joke. I probably asked Jesse this like 5 or 6 times at least. I was like, so how many black people live in Blackville? And the
response is 1.
Yes.
Yes.
It was always 1, and his name was Booberton. What was his name?
Oh my god, man.
Boob vehicle or boob car?
From what I heard, his name's Jackson.
Yeah.
He was adopted.
Okay.
Nice guy from what I remember. He's a lot younger than me. But his original name or whatever is birth name was Abubakar.
Abubakar.
Yes.
Like, I'm not making fun of that name.
Booberton.
It's Booberton. Abubakar, man, that is an incredible name. I do actually enjoy that.
Yeah.
I enjoy exotic names. They're just so much more interesting than Ben.
Yeah, because there's
Tim.
fucking 1,000 Bens and like 1,000 Jessies, and I don't know, it loses its little flair. It can.
And then a Abubakar shows up, and you're just like, you have a boob, and you own a car. Boom.
Yeah.
And then they just called Blackville after him. That's my theory. Or my other theory was that there was so many fires that happened in Blackville, just bonfires and fires where people hung out and fires where people farted and lit fires. And
No,
that the ashes afterwards, the blackness.
I think you're over 2, buddy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It could also be named after Sirius Black on the Harry Potter series. That's probably not true either.
Over 3.
Damn it. So what was it? So there's 1,000 people that live in Blackville.
Correct.
And Jesse told me that it was K-12 school, one school.
Yep.
And everybody graduated together. There was like 30 people who graduated with you.
It was like 30 or so people I graduated with was the same 30 or so people that I went to kindergarten with.
That blows my mind.
It's a lot different than most people. And yeah, it was normal to me, right? You know what I mean? I didn't know anything different. So, but like now looking back, I understand how different of a upbringing and like community I was in than most people. But it certainly had its pros and cons for sure. Like I have a couple good buddies and friends who are a lot older and younger that like I'll be friends for life with and I've developed super close bonds with, and they're like brothers. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's a lot of cons to it too. Just all the drama and small town, narrow-mindedness and resistance to change, and you know.
Are there a lot of people that graduated with you who are still living in Blackville?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot for sure.
Okay.
But you know that's what they want and that's what they like. Yep. So more power to them. If they're happy, then that's great. Yep. Most people who grow up there stay there, and I have a couple of friends who are staying there and they love it, and that's how they want to live their life, and that's awesome. But I wanted to get the hell out of there like as soon as I could.
Why? Like, what was it? Just a restlessness? Like, did you experience something new, or were you tired?
100%, man. I just had a drive to experience more. Like, I knew there was so much more in this world to experience, and I wanted to get out and meet different people and see different things. And as soon as I did, I realized I would never probably want to go back to live. Like, maybe it'll change, because there's still like certain nostalgia or something with the small town being quiet and having to get in a little camp on the river or something. But I just, once I got out, I don't think I'll want to go back and live permanently ever again.
That's fair. I mean, for me to think about living in a small town, I think that I'd have to grow up there to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I am a city boy at heart, so I guess it just kind of fascinates me what it must have been like for you to live there, to be around the same people all the time, what the dynamic of that would have looked like, how the dating scene would have been, you know?
Yeah, not a whole lot of variety, and people dating the same girl, or like one after each other, I guess, a lot of times. Not me as much. But,
you didn't date a lot?
No, not really. Well, like typical like middle school shit. Like dated a girl for a week and then a different girl for a day and another girl, like all kinds, you know what I mean? But nothing serious in middle school. But my first girlfriend was in grade 10, and we dated until Frosh Week in university. And
whoa, that's pretty lengthy.
3 years.
Yeah.
And Frosh Week did us in.
It's like something totally new.
Yeah, well, I moved to Halifax.
Oh, you went to Dow for a while,
Went to Dow. As soon as I graduated high school, I went straight to Halifax. And,
whoa.
It was a huge jump, man, just to a big city, or what I consider a big city, from Blackville.
That is,
like,
that's a major jump.
A culture shock, man, and it was fucking awesome, and I learned a whole lot, for sure, but it certainly...
Can you remember what your initial thoughts, or what you learned, or when you got there, or how your perspective...
Well, I lived in residence, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like its own little community itself, so it was nice, and I remember just being super fucking pumped to be there and ready to fucking drink and party and the typical first year university kind of thing. But we went out to bars and kind of explored the city, and it just was a lot different. And just the residence university itself, man, all the different people I met, because there were so many people that come to Dell from like across Canada, the States, different countries, and I met so many different kinds of people, man, that I've never met before, and that alone like opened me up like so much, like just to see things from different perspectives and understand different kinds of people, or like to see meet people and become friends with people who might be called a hipster, or who might be called a hippie, or who might be called this and that. And like where I come from, like it was just a lot of judgment towards any kind of that people. And I started becoming friends with all these people, and it was just, I don't know, I started to see things more clear or different from different perspectives, I guess.
Started to see the value in diversity.
Yeah, for sure. And not just see someone for their appearance and write them off, like, and this person is like this, like they're a hippie, and throw all these certain characteristics and things on top of them, but instead see them for, I don't know, an individual and not a label, I guess.
Right, just like as a human, just trying to create their own identity and trying to find their own way. And
for sure,
just because someone looks a certain way, there's a tendency, I still do it sometimes.
Oh, of course. I think we all, well, a lot of people do, to a certain degree. It varies.
If I saw you right now, I'd think you were a prophet.
A prophet.
Jesus the disciple.
Yeah, I've been called Jesus, man.
Jesus
I've been called
Jesse the disciple.
I've been called Jesus, man, like once every 2 days for the last like year. Can't go anywhere with like a stranger. Like it might be at a bar or something. Like it's not like out of the blue. Well, it's been out of the blue, but at least maybe they might be drunk or something.
Yeah.
To come up to me and say, "I'm here to repent." I'm like
some crazy guy just like thinks you're actually Jesus.
Well, no, they're just fucking around.
Right.
But anyways, getting a lot of Jesus.
Well, you got the handsome, slim,
long hair, brown hair.
You got the handsome, slim, like Jesus face
Right.
with like the nice beard. And
Could be called worse, you know. So
it's true, man.
I'll take it.
You could be called like. No, I'm not gonna.
I've been called a lot of things.
I was gonna say Dan.
I've been called a lot worse, so.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, me too. So just going back to Blackville, was there a culture of fighting in Blackville?
Yes, it was the culture mostly, like 100%. Yeah, it was a lot of fighting, a lot of cliques,
Right.
and yeah, man, it's like everyone who was older than me, they all fought, so it kind of got passed down through each other's peers. And yeah, I actually didn't fight until probably grade 12. Got into a fight, but there was a lot of fighting, and Miramichi generally too.
Yeah,
It's a huge fighting spot. It's I don't know. A lot of people say because Miramichi is like the second most Irish city in North America after Boston.
No doubt.
So there's a lot of drinking, a lot of fighting.
Yes.
So it definitely influenced me, and I used to get into a lot of fights for a period of my life.
I know that at Leo Hayes High School, there was definitely certain guys who got into fights where us boys would look up to them. You know?
Yeah, man, 100%. And living in such a small community, the influence I think was such a greater to a greater degree. You know what I mean? Because you only had a couple guys older than you, like 20 guys or whatever older than you or whatever, and what they did was cool, right?
Right.
So they fucking fought. They went to the gym. They did steroids. They did all this stuff.
Yeah.
It was the life in Blackville, man. So, you know, and that's just, it had such a great influence on the majority of us. So
Me too. It would have. I'm sure that I would have done steroids if it was like, if it was looked at as at that, like in that light.
exactly, man.
Because here, there was like a mixture of opinion. And I think I just kind of got lucky that I ended up in the crowd where steroids wasn't like looked at as a cool thing, and they just kind of highlighted the negative parts of it, rather than looking up to these bodybuilders and seeing these massive muscles. Like definitely there was like people looked up to guys who could lift a lot of weight at the gym. There was always talk about, oh, well, this guy can lift 90-pound dumbbells, and but I think I just got lucky and
Yeah, well, I think in bigger cities there's so many more like diverse like social groups and like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you can be influenced by different groups because I feel like growing up, especially young, you're always trying to fit in to a
yes.
certain degree. You're trying to wear a mask and
Mhm.
be like certain people. So like in Blackville, there's only so much you could fit into if you
Right.
wanted to have like friends to a certain degree, right? Like it's mostly like athletes, and then there was like a couple, like maybe like 4 or 5 guys who'd like long hair, like metal, and wear the black,
Mhm.
and then like that was it. And there was like yeah,
I was listening to a podcast recently, and I can't remember his name, but he was talking about the importance of someone feeling like they're a part of a tribe or a group and they feel connected to others, and that if someone's desperate enough and they do not have a social group, they'll do things that are in direct conflict with their values and principles just to feel like they're a part of the
for
group.
sure, and that's probably not healthy.
No.
I'm assuming.
No, well,
Yeah.
it's not. A lot of
Yeah.
the times it gets people, hooked on drugs.
Yeah,
And they end up getting
100%,
involved in
yeah.
crimes. And
Yeah.
we both probably know countless examples of people that we've known that have followed. I mean, I did, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, me too. 100%.
Yeah, like I
Like-
definitely followed friends doing things when I was younger
Yeah.
that I'm not very proud of. One time, it was the first time I ever tried marijuana in grade 8. The first 4 hours, I hid myself in a treehouse because I was so afraid and paranoid.
Yeah.
And then after that, me and 3 of my friend lived right across from the golf course. So we got in his canoe and we went across the Nashwauk River onto Riverbend Golf Course. And what they did there is they didn't lock up the golf carts. And they always kept the keys in the golf courts.
Yes,
So
sir.
what did 4 teenage boys who were high on marijuana and what do you think we did, man? We took them out for a spin.
Fucking go-karts. brother.
Crashed into each
Yeah.
other, went in and out of the sand traps, and we went right back up, parked them,
That's
didn't get in
unreal.
trouble that night. But the guy who lived right across from the golf cart,
Seen
as
it.
you can imagine, he kept doing it.
Oh, okay.
And I guess he had a friend who was a little bit more extreme than us, who ended up really damaging these golf carts. And then the police showed up at his house.
Shit.
So I guess I kind of got lucky that night because the owner of the golf course literally lives right on the golf course.
Yeah, you do fucked up shit when you're young, man.
You do. That is. How do we make it out, man? Sometimes I wonder that.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty crazy.
Lucky.
So you went to Dalhousie.
Yep.
How many years were you there?
Was there for a year and a half, and then I moved home to Blackville for a year.
Yep.
And
You worked when you were in Blackville?
well, I did. I didn't work in Blackville. I worked in Miramichi. Worked the worst job my entire life. I worked as a shipping and receiving at Walmart.
Good for you.
Oh, buddy. It was horrible. I had to drive 45, 50 minutes to work.
Yeah.
Work 8 hours of just slaving for minimum wage. It was the hardest job I've ever had.
Just a lot of heavy labor.
You have no idea, man. A freaking transport truck would back up to like the receiving dock,
Yeah.
and all they'd have was boxes thrown into the huge, like a huge van trailer, like a typical transport truck trailer.
Oh yeah.
Boxes thrown in, they're thrown in there. So from the very back to the front of the trailer, from the floor to the ceiling, is full, and I mean completely full of boxes thrown in. So there's 3 of us who pull up this little like rolly chain thing.
Yeah.
Pulls up. First guy just grabs a box, throws it down the chain. The other 2 guys grab the box off the chain. There's a little number on them. Put them in their department. So there's like 3,000 boxes on the truck, and I have to grab all 3,000 and throw them off. That takes like 4 hours, 5 hours. Then we put them all up on a skid and pulled them out. It was horrible.
How long did you do that for?
Oh, probably 7 months, 6 months or something.
That's awful.
It sucked, man. Life was bad at that point. And yeah, it really sucked, but it also gave me a context, a different view for what I wanted out of life, right?
You don't want to be doing that for the rest of your life.
God, no.
Did you have like back pain or anything while you were doing it? Or
No,
was it
man, I was fine.
just
No
young
back
and-
pain. Just
Right.
young and dumb and
Wow.
full of, yeah. So,
Full of sex and vinegar.
yeah, buddy.
I don't even know if that's the same.
It's cum.
What?
Young,
Cum and vinegar?
Young, dumb, and full of cum.
Oh, gross. Oh, dude. Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely happy not to be at Walmart.
So did you get all your credits from Dahazi?
I did not. I got like a little less than a year's worth. I went for a year and a half,
Yeah.
so it wasn't that bad. I transferred from Kin Science to Bachelor of Recreation Sports Study, which is a part of kinesiology, but just not the science part.
Yeah.
So I got almost a year out of it, so it wasn't that bad.
Awesome. That's what
But,
I could say. Put my stint at St. Thomas at the beginning.
Yeah.
So after that 7 months, you had reapplied, or you had applied to UMB?
Applied to UMB, and I could go back the following winter. So I was home for probably, I think it was like 9 or 10 months or something like that in Blackville. And none of my buddies were there, besides a couple younger buddies who were in high school. So yeah, it wasn't...
Pretty lonely.
Yeah, mostly, I'd say. It was a hard time, I'd say. Probably the toughest time in my life, to be honest. It just wasn't healthy. Working a shitty job.
Yeah.
Kind of just, fucked up my second year of school and wasn't feeling too good about myself. But, applied for UNB and went and changed my life around, you know?
Well, you
Yeah.
grew. You grew.
Oh, it was, looking back, it's the most crucial point in my life.
Mhm.
Like, you know, you gotta fuck up. You gotta hit rock bottom. And I did hit rock bottom. And those are the times where you can really recreate a new person or really have a clear view of who you want to be, because you kind of have no... I don't know if we need to get into this. We can. But, like, when I hit rock bottom, man, like, you just have... I had no more fucking labels or views of who I was supposed to be, because I was so low, and I wasn't like the athlete. I wasn't, I don't know, cool. I didn't have friends around. I didn't have any labels or anything that I thought I was, because I thought I was just...
So this persona that you spent so many years creating, kind of realized
everything was diminished, man, which
Yeah.
included the ego. So I
Mhm.
hit rock bottom. It was just demolished. I was crushed. And when I completely hit rock bottom, like I still remember the night, man, where I'm laying in bed and I just kind of had this fucking, such a clear thought process as I finally could see everything that happened and how I got there. Then who do I want to be? And I could be anyone. And I was like, I want to just become the best person who I can be.
Yep.
And I said, I'm going to commit to this and do it. And I felt great. And that's when I applied for UMB. I moved like a couple months later and haven't looked back since. Like,
That's awesome, yeah.
but it took hitting rock bottom till I could really see clearly
Of course.
of who I was and how did I get here and the mistakes I made and what do I need to do to move past this and move on. So there's something to say about the dark moments in life. Those are the times, the contrasts that give you your best parts in life, man.
Absolutely. There's this duality to life, and the more that I experience it, the more I realize that there are going to be those depths of despair where we experience whatever you want to call it, the yin and the yang. To experience one thing is to experience another. Without those dark moments, how do you really know when the light moments are?
100%.
How do you know, like, when you appreciate them?
Yeah.
So there's obviously when you're in those dark moments, you're like, man, I'm grateful for this, because soon I'm gonna experience the other side. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like beauty in the chaotic unpredictability of life.
For sure, man. That's what gives it its magic, for sure.
And I never really talked to you about that. I didn't really know that was a rock bottom for you, and I can at least imagine myself being in your place, moving back to your hometown.
It wasn't good, man, yeah.
It's pretty for you to just not completely self-destruct and be able to go to work and do that kind of a job. It's impressive to me.
Yeah, I guess, but I was miserable.
Yeah.
Like, drinking and indulging and all sorts of, shit and
Right.
just trying to get by. But Yeah.
So, when was your first yoga class?
First yoga class was my first or second year at UNB. I'm having trouble remembering which one. But they offered those activity labs,
Yeah.
kinesiology, and one of them was yoga. And like a month before that, I had previously just tried meditation for the first time. Like I've always been open-minded and into some cool stuff or weird stuff, as some people would say, like in meditation and other things that I won't talk about. But anyways, so I tried meditation and I loved it. I downloaded a 21-day Deepak Chopra. Do you know who Deepak Chopra was at the time?
Yeah.
But 21-day Deepak Chopra meditation, and loved it. Like noticed like a change like pretty quick into it. And then I remember signing up for my classes for the next term, and I seen there was a yoga class and it was full, and I was like
an actual course?
yeah, it was an activity lab, so you get one credit for it, and it's at UNB and at the Career Center.
Yeah.
And it was full. I was like, shit. I was like, I bet you I would love yoga. Like, into meditation now. Like, well, I was enjoying it, and I'm an athlete. Like, I love working out. Like, it's a combination I knew. So I was like, why don't I try it? But it was full, so I said, screw it. I clicked on it, and you go put in the weight and lifts, and I just went to the first class. And I went and sat down, and the first class was a whole like introduction of the teacher just talking about the history of yoga and the philosophy, and I was just like locked in like the whole class and like just loving everything about it. I was like, why have I not done this?
Yeah.
And class was over. I went up and I told her hey, I'm on the wait list, but I really want to be in this class. Like, can you make sure I can stay, or can you help me out? And she's like, yeah, for sure. And stayed and didn't miss a class all year and just fell in love, man. And as soon as I was done,
So you were practicing yoga as well?
yep, it was practicing. Like mostly, almost every class was just a yoga class. We had a couple little projects at the end. I had to teach like a couple poses.
What do you mean, like just a yoga class?
It was just normal yoga. We'd go in and just practice yoga.
Okay.
But there'd be assignments, and sometimes we would, I don't know, like have to like pick a couple poses and get in a group and like teach each other and stuff like that.
Neat.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was offered. That's
It was super cool. You'd have to be in kinesiology to do it.
yeah.
But yeah, man, it was awesome, and I completely fell in love. And
What kind of classes was it? Just like static poses? Was
yeah,
it
there was no vinyasa. It was
Okay.
like this pose, this pose, this pose, this
Cool.
pose, and like breaking it down. Very beginner, obviously, but yeah,
good base to start.
for sure.
And to be able to get the information about the philosophy and
That's what pulled me in, right? Just
sure.
the whole mind-body connection and practicing that was kind of what really pulled me in, man, and what I was all about, or wanted to learn more about anyway.
mm-hmm.
So
I feel like sometimes there's a separation between the body and the mind in certain areas. Like
I
of
think
fitness.
that's yeah, okay.
And it just makes sense. Like they're one and the same for yoga to combine the two. I think is very beautiful.
Yeah, and honestly, you can do it in anything, in any fitness.
Yeah.
But yoga specifically kind of targets it, like just the focus on the breath and putting yourself in these physical, stressing and taxing positions and learning to find ease in them to a degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's specifically one of the best. But like ever since then, like when I go to the gym, like I'm always concentrating, and you kind of realize how things are so much more mental than physical to a degree.
Absolutely.
Like I don't know, I just try to keep that mindfulness when I'm even working out or like lifting weights or doing anything, like staying in the moment.
That's why I think I like physical exertion, because I'm more in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on
It can take
the
you out of
pain
your
or the
mind to a
difficulty.
degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like. Some people might look at it as being like just a mundane thing, lifting heavy things, but it's more than that. It's like almost like a meditation unto itself.
Yeah, it certainly can be. And that's when you can look at anything. It's kind of like life can either be a meditation or a flow or
Right.
magical and pleasing and fulfilling, or it can be fucking well, shitty.
Yeah, painful. Just shitty.
Shitty, man.
Shitty's a great
Or like
word.
unattached, not aware, like just off in fucking Candyland. I'm not sure if that's the right term, but like
No.
just you lose the joy, you lose the magic, you lose all sorts of shit, man. If you're not there, you're not here. Like, and it's certainly a practice that you can do anytime, anywhere.
I like how it's called a yoga practice.
Yeah.
Because I'll always be practicing. We'll always be practicing.
Oh man, 100%.
You never arrive. I think that's what I like about it. Is that you can constantly be evolving. And there's no time that you're at the pinnacle of your yoga practice.
No.
There's just always places to.
Well, yeah, I think it's transient. Like, what are we trying to arrive to?
Exactly.
Like, I'd say the yogis, they say nirvana and all this stuff, which,
Enlightenment.
yeah, what is enlightenment? But,
It's so complicated when you hear people talk about enlightenment.
yeah, I think it's a lot more simple than people make it out to be.
Yeah.
I'm quoting, or going to paraphrase or quote, like Wim Hof, who is my idol, but it's basically just being happy, strong, and healthy. And when you're happy, strong, and healthy, you're full of love. That's what love is.
Yeah.
And that's what nirvana is. That's what enlightenment. You can go deeper into these altered state consciousness kind of things, which is nirvana. You can have full on euphoric experiences, that sort of thing. But I think enlightenment is being happy, healthy, and strong.
I like that.
Full of love.
Yeah. Full of love.
Keep it simple.
So, as far as you being attracted to yoga, at first it was about, you doing those sitting meditations, and then you got into the yoga class, learned a little bit about the philosophy. I guess what I want to ask you, you probably already answered it to a certain degree, but what was it specifically about yoga that attracted you? Was it? I'll let you answer that.
I think it was the fact that it could help me kind of slow down my mind, because I have always had a very, very kind of quick mind in my thoughts a lot, and kind of once I became real unhealthy during that period, I found I would have start having like a lot of racing thoughts and stuff. It was probably due to smoking a lot of marijuana as well. But just being so much in my mind at times and so many racing thoughts that I really wanted something that could kind of tone that back and kind of tune me into like a better frequency, you could say, or something, you know what I mean? And I kind of found that very, very quick. And just working out and a lot of physical exertion did that as well. But combined with yoga and meditation kind of really propelled it.
Is there a specific type of yoga that really speaks to you? Or do you...
No, man. Like, I've mostly done just the moksha series and all the power flows and flows. Like, something to say about flow, vinyasa. I'd say it's probably the most powerful one for me anyway. Just because for my personality, for whatever it is, I think the more my body's moving and the more I'm physically exerting, the better it is for my mind, I guess. Maybe you could say that about everyone, I'm not sure. But just I think the quicker your mind works, the more it races, the more you need to speed up your body. It's just a theory right now. You kind of need to, you match them up, and then they kind of like sink into each other somehow. Like, because if you have a super quick mind, if you just sit down and try to meditate, that's going to be hard as shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you match that with a very quick and like strong physical exertion, that's going to match your mind and bring it down to the level it should be at.
It's interesting for you to articulate that, because that's the reason why I don't have to, but that's the reason why I will do physically demanding exercise before yin yoga.
Oh, 100%.
It's because there's been times where I'll go into yin, I'll be compressed, stressed, even angry at times, and I won't get much out of the class because my mind is racing so quickly.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
So,
Well, that's like the whole, I think, theory behind what yoga's all about, right? It's all a physical series to prepare you for shavasana, right?
For sure.
Which is just a laying meditation.
Yeah.
So it's really like they had it figured out way before us.
Absolutely. Thank God. That's the reason why I like it so much.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, kind of a loaded question, but if there's one thing that through practicing and learning, and Jesse also went to a teacher training in Halifax, but out of all of your experiences do with yoga, is there one lesson that you've learned from it that you would like to share?
Oh, fuck. One lesson that I've learned from yoga.
Loaded question.
I don't know, man. I'd say that you need to take time out of every day to reconnect with yourself, to align like your body and mind, to balance that shit out,
Mm-hmm.
to give yourself a better state of mind to reflect or just connect back to yourself every day. Because the momentum of life, man, can catch up and take off so quick and get caught up in so much shit that's happening or emotions, and you can just get all out of whack, man. But if you set a time every single day to come back to a practice and then go over what you value, who you want to be, what you stand for, you can really kind of just renew every day and live the life that you want to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think that's a beautiful answer, because it's easy to get caught up in the chaos and like the quickness of our society and all the different social media that we're looking at constantly, and then but to go into a yoga room and to have no distractions other than the moving postures of your own breath and your own mind. A lot of the sand and the mud that gets all mixed up in your mind starts to settle, and then I feel like that's where I can connect to my spirit or my higher power, and then I can really listen to that voice of reason and of love in there. And then I also think that it's a very brave thing to practice yoga, because if you're not aligned with your values and principles, when you get quiet, your mind tells you that, because you focus on
Yeah. And you beat yourself up.
Yeah. And then it becomes a practice of compassion and love towards yourself again, and then but also sometimes in a yoga practice it becomes clear what I have to do next. Whether it could be simple. It could be as simple as maybe calling someone that I've been avoiding.
Yep.
So I like that's a truth.
Yeah. For sure. Because I feel like maybe subconsciously we kind of go with the momentum sometimes because we are scared to look at those things that are underneath, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to look at it, so you keep abusing drugs, or you just keep working, or like whatever it is. It could even be exercise to a degree, right?
Yeah.
You just keep on blocking that shit out and not taking a look at it. So,
and I never really looked at it at yoga as you being a brave person for practicing it until I had a couple of friends who articulated that to me, and as a result of being in recovery, I have a few friends who were kind of in and out of sobriety, and it wasn't until they got in to being sober that they became. This is not all of them, but I mean, a couple of them said that it wasn't until they got sober, until they got right with themselves, that they became comfortable enough to go into that quiet space consistently, and to be able to kind of sit there with their own mind. But yeah, I think that's a great answer, Jesse. Is there any closing statements that you would like to share with the audience, Jesse? Any any closing thoughts or?
closing thoughts?
Yeah. Just
I'd seriously recommend checking out Wim Hof. I tell everyone that. I'll continue to tell everyone that. I think Wim Hof, the Iceman, is doing
Oh, the Iceman.
unbelievable things for science and for people with all sorts of illnesses and mental illnesses as well, and disorders, autoimmune disorders, and I stick by it, and science has stuck by what he said so far, but he's just showing shortcuts to health, to happiness, to strength, to meditation. So I think he's doing a lot of unbelievable things, and yeah, I'll
How do you spell his name?
WIMHOF,
Okay.
Wim Hof.
Just as it sounds.
Yeah, but yeah, he's someone that I think everyone should check out if they are looking for an alternative or supplemental
That works.
way to deal with stress. And when you look at illness and you look at anything that's illnesses, especially disorders, the root cause is always stress, some form of stress. And he's really developed ways to deal with stress, and that's what I think yoga is really combating at its root level as well.
For sure. Okay, well, I'll have to check out this Wim Hof. Reminds me of William Hof. Or William Hung.
William Hung?
Remember him? She bangs, she bangs.
Oh, yeah.
Baby, she moves, she... The guy off of American Idol.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just destroyed your spiritual message.
Fuck,
With William
there's
Hung.
no fucking spiritual message.
You do that.
No.
That's great. Okay, so Wim Hof, WIMHOF.
The Iceman.
The Iceman. Thank you so much, Jesse, for coming on to Universal Discourse.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time, your beard, and your words.
Universal Discourse, we're doing it just for you. Universal Discourse, the only word I can think of is
You.
you.